Mass protests have taken place at several U.S. airports against Donald Trump's executive order barring migrants from 7 Muslim-majority countries. The order also freezes refugee admissions. Thousands gathered at airports in major cities across the U.S. The immigration freeze applies to Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen, and will remain in force for 90 days. It also includes people who have U.S. green cards. But as the crowds protested at the airports, a federal judge issued an emergency ruling, temporarily blocking part of Trump's plan. The court decided to halt nationwide deportations of those detained on arrival in the U.S., some of whom were trapped in the airports. Trump's travel ban is aimed at keeping out potential terrorists. The move wasn't unexpected, as it was one of Trump's presidential campaign pledges.
We're going to have extreme vetting for people coming into our country, and if we think there's a problem, it's not going to be so easy for people to come in.
Well, the unrest over Trump's ban is just another sign of deep division in the U.S. Over a week since his inauguration, the new president continues to face a wall of resistance with constant protests against him.
I think it's excellent that we have the split. I think it's showing everybody that all the notion about, one nation and so forth is just nonsense. This is not one nation, it's multiple nations. The people that we saw marching the other day, the people in New York City, the people in Los Angeles, they represent those who live off the rest of us. We need to separate that, let them live off themselves, let us live off ourselves. They just should go their own way. The rest of us should ignore them to the extent we can. Of course, if they're violent, there has to be a defensive reaction.
The people are taking the streets to protect their rights and to advance the causes. There are norms in our society. There are norms in a democracy. The Electoral College should be trashed. There should be a popular vote. There shouldn't be red and blue. We should be a United States.
And while Donald Trump continues to face resistance from the American public, there's also a battle raging between the new U.S. administration and the media. The president's team said it will hold the press accountable, not the other way around. Here's Gayane Chichikan with more.
To say that President Trump and the mainstream media started off on the wrong foot is to put it mildly.
As you know, I have a running war with the media. They are among the most dishonest human beings on earth.
If there ever were rules in an administration's relationship with the media, with Trump in the White House, they're out the window. This administration makes it clear it's ready to fight.
There's been a lot of talk in the media about the responsibility to hold Donald Trump accountable. And I'm here to tell you that it goes 2 ways. We're going to hold the press accountable as well.
The media returned fire when the new press secretary claimed the Trump inauguration audience was the biggest ever.
Why put him out there for the very first time in front of that podium to utter a provable falsehood?
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
The phrase alternative fact is a lawyer's phrase, or is that the phrase?
It's a George Orwell phrase.
After the first fight, the new press secretary broke with the tradition of giving the first question to a major news outlet. Instead, he called on more alternative ones.
I'd be glad to take a few questions. Sure. Jim Stinson, LifeSet. Daniel Halper, New York Post.
Trump's feud is not only with the news media, but also with the entertainment industry. And there, nothing is off limits, including the president's immigrant wife and 10-year-old son.
What about Melania? Would you have her on your show?
Melania? What, to talk about what? She can barely speak English.
SNL writer Katie Rich has been suspended after she posted and deleted a message in which she joked that Barron could become the country's first homeschool shooter.
It's as close to war as you're ever going to see in American politics, at least within recent memory. I mean, there has never been a time when the media was as adversarial with a sitting president as we're seeing today. Neither side trusts or likes each other, and it's been like that way for a long time, but it's a love-hate relationship because they both desperately need each other.
If the first days of Trump's presidency are any indication, both the media and the administration are now in uncharted waters. In Washington, I'm Gayane Chichikan, RT.
With presidential elections in France due in April, Front National party leader Marine Le Pen is riding high in the popularity stakes. And she's convinced there won't be any protests if she wins the election, unlike those that followed Donald Trump's inauguration in the U.S. That story coming up.